All right, folks, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being with us. Happy Monday to everybody out there. We can't do the program without you. Thank you so much. Without you watching, we can't do the show. It's always a pleasure. Look, this crazy couple of days over the weekend. I mean, I know it's pretty fast paced ever since President Trump has been put back in office. The news has been coming in every day. It's wild. For a journalist, it's, like Christmas morning. But I think the last couple of days have certainly proven that to be the case, even more so. You had Donald Trump. Well, I guess we should take this in reverse order. So yesterday, the big news was that, Joe Biden has cancer, which has essentially exposed the mainstream media as just being full of lies, actively deceiving us. We talk about that a lot. We also have this Bongino Kash Patel interview, which is interesting. That was also making the news. Then you had the audio released of Joe Biden and Special Prosecutor Hur, essentially exposing him as being a dementia patient. The dementia patient that we all knew he was, and the media helped cover that up as well. And then before all of that happened, Donald Trump takes to Truth Social to begin the weekend and posts a video linking the Clintons to all of the, the deaths and the Arkancides. And, I say that as an Arkansan. We're very familiar of that term, with that term, Arkancide. So we've got a lot of news to get to, and so we're going to take it kind of in chronological order here as the news broke. Before we do that, though, I want to remind everybody this portion of the broadcast brought to you by Red Vive Health. You can go to redvivehealth.org/Paul and check out their amazing red light panels. We're going to be talking to Matt Troy here coming up in just a moment about that. We had him on Monday. I want everybody out there to know about the amazing health benefits from red light therapy. You can also call the number 866-726-8483 as well. But more on that here in just a moment. Let's start, shall we, with the video that Donald Trump posted to Truth Social to kind of start the weekend. And here it is. This was... I can't even believe this. This is real. Donald Trump posting this on Truth Social.
Remember John F. Kennedy Jr.? He was declared the front runner for the New York Senate seat back in 1999. Days later, his plane crashed into the Atlantic Ocean, and his rival, Hillary Clinton, was elected senator. Mary Mahoney was a Clinton White House intern. She knew enough of the inner workings of Bill's sexual advancements to be a star witness during the Clinton impeachment trials. She was brutally executed at a Starbucks she was managing in 1997. In 1993, White House counsel Vince Foster was found dead in Fort Marcy Park near D.C. He supposedly killed himself, and among a lengthy list of potential foul play, the bullet was never found. Then there's James McDougal, a key witness for White House prosecutors. He was serving his 3-year sentence for bank fraud at the Fort Worth Federal Medical Center in Texas. And just before he was to give a testimony before the grand jury, McDougal suffered a heart attack in solitary confinement. In 2015, Walter Scheib, a White House chef hired under Bill Clinton, joined the list. His body was found at the bottom of a river, nearly 2 miles from the base of the trail he was reportedly hiking. An autopsy determined that Scheib's death was accidental drowning, but he might have known too much. 27-year-old Democratic National Committee staffer Seth Rich was shot and killed in D.C. this year. There is speculation that he was the source of the controversial leaked emails allegedly sent by DNC staffers, and that he may have been murdered in retaliation. Then Sean Lucas, the lead attorney in a fraud case against the DNC, was found lying on the bathroom floor by his girlfriend when she returned home on August 2nd. His death was reported classified, pending the results of an autopsy.
Obviously, this is one of those conspiracy theories, like so many other conspiracy theories, that the mainstream media will tell us is baseless and not true. Just like they did when it came to COVID and virtually everything else. Derek Evans, President Trump posted this video about the Clinton body count. Also, earlier today, this morning, from the White House press briefing room, they have this new media chair. Well, they have a representative from the website zerohedge.com asking Caroline Levitt this question.
For you is, so over the weekend, President Trump posted Truth Social a video highlighting what most people call the Clinton body count, which is the strange number of suicides that seem to happen in Clinton circles. I have a headline here from the Washington Post that said, Trump peddles false conspiracy theories tying the Clintons to several deaths. So I just wanted to highlight real quick, this wasn't in Trump's video, but this is from the Arkansas Times, and it's the death of Mark Middleton, who was a former Clinton White House aide who was found dead on a Clinton Foundation property. And I'll just quote from the Arkansas Times. Middleton apparently shot himself in the chest with a shotgun and also hung himself from a tree with an extension cord. So I have no idea how somebody commits suicide that way, but if the Washington Post is here, maybe you can enlighten us as to how that was actually a suicide.
So what are the functions of this chair? We saw this with Tim Pool. One of the functions of this new media chair that the White House is allowing this rotation of journalists who are certainly center right, or right of center rather, is they just love to call out the media. The questions, that's what Tim Pool did when it came to the Maryland man that was really an MS-13 gang member. And so he called it. So some of this is these journalists wanting to confront the media with their lies and their, like I said, it's one thing. They just actively deceive on a daily basis. And yes, I'm familiar with that. I'm familiar with that Middleton suicide because it stinks to high heaven. Anyway, the Levitt doesn't really give an answer here, but we'll listen just because.
So anyways, that's just a lead into my question about the most famous Clinton-related suicide, which is that of Jeffrey Epstein. There's still a lot of questions around that case. You've released phase 1 of the Epstein files. What was missing from that is any connection to his ties to intelligence agencies, and that's really the whole story, that not just trafficking young girls, but doing it on behalf of intelligence agencies, and even potentially as part of a blackmail ring with potential ties to the Israeli government. So for phase 2, when can we expect it? Will it have information pertaining to those aspects of the Epstein case?
I know the Attorney General has committed to releasing those files. I would defer you to the Department of Justice on her timeline, but when she has made a promise in the past, she has kept it, and I'm certain that she will in this case as well.
So, there's we had I mentioned the Bongino, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, they get interviewed. And there was some interesting stuff there. We're going to cover that a little later in the show if we have time. But one of the disappointing aspects, I think, for many people is when they, with a straight face, told us that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself and that they've seen the file. And I'm sorry, I'm still not buying it. The official government narrative that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. We played for you the allegations of essentially state actors that were involved in that. Who was it? Man, I can't remember. His name escapes me at this moment. But we played the clip for you, which suggested that the prison guards that fell asleep, the cameras were turned off, the prison guards fell asleep. Come on, man. Like, those are still the facts of the case. Anyway, it's disappointing, to say the least. But anyway, moving on. Here is Elon Musk's father talking about the Clinton body count.
The body count of the Clintons is well over 100 that they've killed.
The Clintons?
Yes, the Clintons have killed over 100 people. I'll say that. Please take me to court. Okay? Please. They won't take me to court. So everybody
know
knows
it's true.
But everybody knows the Clinton body
that,
count's about 130.
Yeah.
So, please take me to court. Please, please, please. Clinton.
So, speaking of Hillary Clinton, she was recently interviewed, and she said the quiet part out loud, that this movement on the right that more Americans need to have children. She says no, they don't. That's what illegal immigration is for. They're the ones that they invade the country and then they have all of the babies. Listen to this.
As I posted the other day, this very blatant effort to basically send a message, most exemplified by Vance and Musk and others, that, what we really need from you women are more children. And what that really means is you should go back to doing what you were born to do, which is to produce more children. And they are talking about, cash benefits for the more children you have. This has been tried, by the way, in other countries, and it has not worked. Or medals if you have 6 children, while they're contemplating cutting Medicaid, while they have no interest in paid family leave or funding quality child care. They're cutting Head Start. I mean, you go down the list of all the programs that support.
Well, you will say this: if we had an economy that wasn't structured to require, in many cases, I know there's people that are making sacrifices so that their spouse can stay at home and raise their kids. But if we actually get back to families raising kids and moms staying at home, when of course they choose to do that, you don't need as many of those programs, quite honestly. The school system today is a lot more about raising kids than just educating them. It's certainly the idea of mission creep. You can certainly apply that to what the public government education system has become. But anyway, let's listen to what she says about immigrants.
Child rearing and the care of children, and create some safety net for women who are in the workforce, the formal workforce, as well as raising children. So this is another performance about concerns they allegedly have for family life. But if you had read the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025, despite Trump saying he knew nothing about it, if you had read it, it's all in there. It's all in there. Return to the family, the nuclear family, return to being a Christian nation.
What's wrong with that?
Return to, producing a lot of children. Which is sort of odd because the people who produce the most children in our country are immigrants, and they want to deport them. So none of this adds up. But one of the reasons why our economy did so much better than comparable advanced economies across the world is because we actually had a replenishment, because we had a lot of immigrants, legally and undocumented, who had a larger than normal, by American standards, families. So this is just another one of their, make America great again by returning to the
nuclear
lifestyles
family
and the economic arrangements of not just the 1950s. I mean, let's keep going back as far as we can and, see what happens.
Normal. A return to normalcy. A return to the way human civilizations have lived, for thousands of years, except for this little, blip on the radar that we call the 20th and 21st century. They want to do this radical thing like focus on the nuclear family and having more kids. Isn't that aside from, obviously the chief end goal of man to worship God and enjoy him forever, part of that is getting married and having kids and having a family, right? I mean, isn't that what we all are going to work to do? Like we're not living to work. We work so that we can live. We work so that we can enjoy our families, so that we can reproduce. But she represents, obviously Hillary Clinton represents a total assault and attack on the nuclear family, and the Democrats have for a very, very long time. And this idea that we're going to go back, as she says, to having kids in a nuclear family. If you look at the fact, you go back and look. Let's see, I can't remember the exact file name or the operation, but I mean, if you go back and look at the women's lib movement, as we've talked about on this program many times, feminism is certainly one of the idols in this country, and it's changed everything. But you go back and look at the government and the CIA funding certain women's liberation magazines and that sort of thing, and it was for two reasons. It was to attack the nuclear family, and it was also greed. You've got half of your potential workforce is at home raising kids, and the government wants also, more tax money. I actually think that's the secondary. I think the idea of having, we've got all these people that could be working and they'd be paying taxes and it would increase revenue to the government. I actually think that was the secondary cause because so much of our financial system, as we can print money, is fake. It's just, it's all a scam anyway. But the main reason to do that is so we increase funding for public education, increase funding for all these programs so that the society has to raise your children. This is the lady that wrote It Takes a Village, talking about, it takes a village to raise children and that sort of thing. It is just complete nonsense. And it is a direct assault and has been a direct assault on the nuclear family. Going back, listen to where she's going back to a Christian nation, going back to the nuclear family. I mean, it's pretty incredible that, we already knew this, but it's good to hear it, right? It's good to reinforce the opposition. These people want to destroy the nuclear family. And these people, as we talked about on Friday with James Comey wearing his rainbow LGBT t-shirt, these people want to essentially terraform our country to where all social norms, all biblical definitions are completely erased, and literally anything goes. The 1950s rock and roll moms, in my opinion, were right. The people who said gay marriage would lead to erasing, the distinctions between male and female were right. We have been on the slippery slope to, totally redefining the basics, men competing in women's sports. All of this happens after Barack Obama puts a rainbow on the White House. And there are people that are trying to crawl our way back up the slippery slope. And people like Hillary Clinton are certainly triggered by it. No doubt about that. Ladies and gentlemen, before we go any further, I want to tell you about redvivehealth.org and the great folks over at Red Vive Health. But in order to do that, though, we're going to talk once again to our friend Matt Troy, who joins us now. Matt, welcome back to the Millstone Report, sir. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it's only been a week, but so much to talk about. I think I ran on so long, you said I could come back. So
that's exactly right. Okay, so I want people to know about these products. I want people to know about the panels, the healing power of red light. I have a panel at my house. It is absolutely incredible. I have family members now using it to treat all kinds of issues, whether it's bruises or pulled back muscles, and they are seeing amazing results from this as well. But one of the reasons I wanted to have you back on, Matt, is I wanted you to give us a little insight as to what makes Red Vive better than your competitors, because there are other red light panels out there that people can buy. I wanted you to kind of expand on the kind of quality, customer care that Red Vive provides when folks pick Red Vive, to be their choice to get a red light panel.
Yeah, I just want to kind of just maybe reiterate first how I kind of stumbled into the photobiomodulation world. I mean, not all red lights are created equal, and I had nowhere to go. There were so many different things. I was in the MMA world and beat up my body. I went through the story last week, but those of you that didn't hear it, I've probably done just about everything in my body you can imagine. My C5-6 has been fused, blown ACL, 4 shoulder surgeries, broken hand. It's just a brutal sport. I don't recommend anybody get their children into it. I was a wrestler in high school, and I'm really bad at golf. So I figured I'd get into that. But through the years of surgeries and stumbling into regenerative medicine, I met Dr. Desai, who's one of the leading regenerative medicine doctors out there. And he told me about red light therapy, and I already kind of knew about it, and I used it to help build my stem cells and all the PRP. Platelet-rich plasma is what PRP is. He put that in all my joints, and I'm 49 next month, and I have no pain. I feel great. Even my skin started looking better. So, I ended up sharing this medicine, is what I call it, this light, with my friends and family when they were sick or injured or whatever, and nobody would give them back. Everybody wanted to get one. And so I actually decided, because I even traveled with it. I go in through TSA and I'd bring it on my carry-on because I didn't want anything to happen to it. And I actually wanted to, as I would go through TSA, nobody knew what it was. Everybody was asking about it. And I felt like I need to share this with the world. But to answer your question, Paul, I wanted not to share just the light with the world, but I wanted anybody that is skeptical, or people don't usually buy things that they don't understand, right? So I wanted to educate and inform the world about red light therapy and what it actually does to your body. So I called Dr. Desai, said, look, we don't want to just make a red light company that sells panels, and we don't do it directly to consumers. Paul, yours is kind of a special deal where we can get the word out, but we leverage practitioners and doctors to write prescriptions for it. This is clinical grade power. It's more powerful than most of the devices you see out there. Many of them don't get third-party tested, and the third-party tests that we've seen didn't match the specs on the irradiance. Irradiance is the power that pushes the light into the tissue, that does all the anti-inflammatory things, reduces pain, gets into the blood-brain barrier through the retina into the skull. You have to have power, and you have to have clinical grade power. So to answer your question, we're third-party tested, doctor endorsed, in hundreds of doctors' offices across the country. I don't know of another business model like that, where we leverage doctors to prescribe it. And doctors are very particular about what they put their name behind, especially Dr. Desai and all of the doctors that are affiliates of ours. I mentioned last week, if you are a practitioner or you're a doctor, and you can call the 800 number, you can go on the affiliate section and sign up to be an affiliate. You have to have, you don't necessarily need a brick and mortar, but you have to be seeing patients. And then we get the word out and educate people. We also follow up with them. So we're making sure that not only do you understand the science, and because there's different dosing for different things. I mean, there's so many benefits. Some people use it for pain. Some people use it for sleep. Some people use it for sexual health. The list goes on and on. We want to make sure that you're using it properly for what you're doing, and you understand. You can have diminishing returns if you don't do it right. So we follow up. I take this personally. I follow up with everybody that's purchased a panel to make sure that you'd be amazed. Some people they think that it goes through clothing, or they're 18 inches away, and they don't understand that the power.
Yeah, talk about that, because that's not doing. You can't. First of all red light panels not created equal. That's what we've clearly established here. But then, some people just think you can turn it on, and you don't have to get, you're more than 12 inches away from it, and then it's still going to do the same thing. You actually need to, carve out some time, sit in front of this thing, get close to it for it to work. Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah, there's a systemic effect to it. So the more of your body and your skin that is exposed to the near infrared and the red light, the more effective it is. And if you're holding, and if that panel, and I have a 300 at my house, if you're on that website, I saw you scrolling, the 300 with an adjustable stand is the way to go if you have the means. I lay underneath it and I relax under it, and I make sure that it's within 6 to 12 inches of my body, because if you click on the specs, Paul, if you just click on that 300 and go to specs, you'll see that the irradiance, and it kind of sounds like Greek, go down to specs if you scroll down. The irradiance, which is down a little bit more, the irradiance is 179 megawatts per inches squared. So if you go to specs, right there in the dead middle of it, it says specs. To the right up. And then
there we go. Sorry. Yeah, right here. Yeah. Sorry about that. And that's my own incompetence. Go ahead.
That's okay. Irradiance at 6 inches, 172.2 megawatts per inch squared. So that is a really important stat right there. And a lot of, if you can even YouTube some of these other competitors and things out there. There's a guy that geeks out on this stuff and third-party tests all these different brands. And this isn't regulated by the FDA because it's a class 2 medical device, and a lot of them just don't have the clinical power to push. The irradiance pushes that light into your tissue. Now you see wraps and things like that are great for skin because it only has to go into the dermis. The epidermis is very, very shallow, and they have like blue light gimmicks and things like that. But we have 4 wavelengths that are specifically designed, handpicked by Dr. Desai, who went to London, met with all the top scientists in the world at the photobiomodulation conference in London just last year. We actually reduced our wavelengths down to 4 because of that meeting and because of what he said. You can see there was a beam angle on there too that says 35 degrees. That's the degree that the beam comes out onto the body. A lot of people could geek out on this stuff too, but just know that we have a doctor that stands behind this. We have a chief medical officer that we want to make sure we're up to date on all the science. We're educating all the people that actually purchase one on how to use it properly and what they're using it for specifically. First thing I do is listen. I ask, what is your ailment? What are you doing? And they actually basically get a consultation with me. And I've actually brought the doc in to, if there's something that I feel is more medical or something that might be over my head, or I guess these days AI can't answer. I actually ask him, and within minutes he gets me an answer, and I go back to them and talk to them about how to use it right. So if people use this thing after I talk to them, and we get a hold of everybody, I tell them, if you don't feel less pain, if you don't sleep better, if it's not working, or there's something that doesn't, if you just feel like it's a waste of time, we absolutely don't want you to keep this device. Send it back. All you have to do, the box is very easy to open. It's got even a little handle on it. This is the smaller one. And just keep the box and send it back. We'll even get you a UPS return label. We've had 0 returns, none. That's because people that we sell them to use them properly. They know we actually genuinely care. We're not just trying to sell a panel, right? So when going back to my story, when I started this and I called Desai, my biggest thing was I could have gone, because the red light's kind of a craze right now. It wasn't about the money for us. I wanted it to be affordable. I wanted people to have a payment plan option. I wanted people to understand it and use it properly. And I want to get as many out there as possible. And I want to do it in a productive way. So going business to consumer wasn't the best way to go. We're on the Millstone Report, and we appreciate our relationship with you, Paul. But you're like the only kind of avenue that we've gone directly to consumer. And I felt like in this case, I can actually reach more people and get my word out through your podcast and actually speak to it. So, but usually it's the doctors doing it for us. So.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, when it's appropriate, we talk about the Make America Healthy Again agenda, RFK Jr. and everything else. And that's one of the reasons why I was excited to do this, is because I think this audience, this idea that there's technology that can help us rise above, so much of what's wrong with our food or with our environment. And this is stuff that, I just feel like Big Pharma, for example, or the medical industrial complex, they just really don't want people to know this. And I talk about at a time when I do the live reads for it, I talk about how if you look at the science and you look at how, the benefits of this and all of that, you can do the research over at the website. It sounds too good to be true, Matt. I mean, it really does sound too good to be true. But now, like I said, I've now got family members that are coming over to my house, and they're spending 10, 20 minutes, and they're getting healthier from using this thing without having to even engage with the medical community. And that's I'm glad that there are doctors, by the way. I am glad that there are doctors that you guys have found who are receptive to this technology and want to use it to actually help their patients, because that's what medicine is supposed to be.
Right. Yeah. And we actually, all the studies that are coming out recently, there's so many new things and new benefits that we didn't even realize. I even sent you something earlier, Paul, when we were talking about your family member and the pain, and I'm thinking, because I research, I use AI a lot. A lot of what I thought the reason, because as soon as you get under this, like if you have lower back pain, for example, which, I have, and I'll lay underneath it and it goes away. I want to understand why that is. Why does the pain go away? Is it the heat? Because I put heating pads on my back and the heat doesn't, it feels warm and soothing, which is nice and relaxes the muscle and increases blood flow. But, it's actually a systemic effect that's actually affecting the brain, your glial cells in your brain, and the way that your brain actually perceives pain. And I've thought that, well, a lot of the studies that I read is actually the rapid firing of the nerve that actually sends the signal of pain to the brain. It actually, the photons of light go into the cell and actually reduce the inflammation and reduce that rapid fire. And so the brain doesn't actually receive the signal as strongly for multiple reasons. And I sent you a whole thing on it.
Yeah. I'm reading part of it now. Central nervous system effects. Some evidence suggests light therapy may influence central pain processing by affecting glial cells and neurotransmitter balance in the spinal cord and brain. This can alter the perception of pain, not just its physical transmission.
Right. So it's doing two things at the same time. And I'm somewhat of an expert at this point on everything that it does, and I just constantly read on it. And I thought the majority of it until recently was just that the rapid firing the nerve was sending a dull signal to the brain, but it's changing the perception of the way pain is actually received, which is twofold. But do you think the pharmaceutical companies want this out there? I mean, I've taken pain pills. They keep me up all night. They make me itch. They make me feel sick later. I've tried everything, even some anti-inflammatories. And the problem with a lot of anti-inflammatories like ibuprofen and things like that is if you get like PRP or stem cells or any type of regenerative procedure done, you can't take those because you need to have an inflammatory response. And it actually hinders the regeneration of new tissue and things like that. So then what are you supposed to do? This is an anti-inflammatory response without hindering any of the regenerative properties of that take place during platelet-rich plasma procedures or stem cell procedures. It really, people say to me, okay, how is this? There's no side effects, there are downsides. What are the downsides? It's really truly light, right? We were supposed to be outside 90% of the time. We're inside 90% of the time. My animals, because they're indoors more than they probably should be. Animals are meant to be outside. They gravitate to it.
Yeah, my dog loves it when it's on.
Right? You actually have to fight for space with it. But as I'm saying, proof is in the pudding, right? Like, if you were to tell me, and we've sold thousands at this point, I couldn't tell you how many, and I've talked to just about every person I could get a hold of. You would think I would actually have had somebody say, hey, I feel like returning this thing. I don't feel like it does much more. I've yet to have anybody do that. I'm actually surprised, but it's also because we make sure they're using it properly. I've had so many that were not using it properly. They were still feeling some benefits, but they would be too far away, or they wouldn't even have the near infrared button on, which is the one that the near infrared rays are the longer rays that go deeper into the tissue. They just would have the red light on, or they didn't understand why half the lights look like they're not on when those near infrared rays are beyond the visible spectrum. Those are the longer, more powerful ones, and so they need to be
well, all right. So I really appreciate you coming on the program. I want people to understand that if you go to redvivehealth.org/Paul, you do get a discount. And then if you don't want to do the internet, if you want to talk to somebody like yourself, Matt, they can call 866-726-8483 and then just mention my name, Paul, and you will also receive a discount. So, and I'm pretty sure that number, you're one of the ones fielding these calls, aren't you?
I'm one of our team because I take it personally, and I want to make sure I manage every call, whether it's me or anybody else that comes in, and I want to make sure that we have follow-up. And I want to make sure that if it's, people understand that there's payment plans are available, just they're very affordable. The middle-sized one, which is the one I have at my house, you can $150 a month for 12 months, and you can own it. People are spending more than that going to some of these, getting these inferior red light beds and things like that at like tanning salons, and they get these memberships. One of the big things is with dosing, you need to do it as far for sleep, circadian rhythm, especially as soon as you first wake up. Fill your rods and your cones in your eyes. The mitochondria fill up with ATP. You're fueling your body for the day. You do it before you go to bed. You can't do that drive down to a tanning salon and get up and do that every single day and then do it right before you go to bed. It's more affordable this way. And, the smaller one's like $40 a month for 12 months.
Yep.
So
you're talking clinical strength right in your home. And so I want people to know about this technology because it's incredible. Matt Troy, I appreciate it, sir. I'll give you the last word. Thank you so much for coming on. I'll give you the last word, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate everybody that if you're just even interested, call that number, 866-726-8483. I am one of the people that will help answer some questions. Do your own research. And I encourage people to leverage AI. AI will save you a ton of time. Just type in red light therapy. How does it kill pain? How does it help with, gut issues, menstrual cramp, the list goes on, and AI will tell you all the things, and then just try it. 60 days, keep the packaging. You won't return it, I promise. Thank you so much, Paul. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. God bless you, and we will do it again soon. Folks, we're going to take a break. We're going to hear from our friend Mike Lindell, and I'll be back in 1 minute.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
All right, so remember, they got a summer sale going on over there at MyPillow.com, up to 80% off. Just make sure you use that promo code PH. We got a great rest of the show for you. Oh, man, this next montage is incredible what the media has done to us. But we do want to mention Curable. They are responsible for the rest of this program, sponsoring this, and so we thank you. And we're going to tell you more about the great CBD products you can get at Curable.com a little later in the program. So here it is. I saw this. Clay Travis was posting this about. Or no, this is not Clay Travis. Benny Johnson. So yeah, last week. Joe Biden, this is before we know about the cancer, before we hear the is it Ben-Hur? Special Prosecutor Hur's audio interview with Biden over the classified document scandal that he himself was involved in, not actually President Trump. And we have just an abysmal performance. He goes on The View.
Of books that have come out deeply sourced from Democratic sources that claim in your final year there was a dramatic decline in your cognitive abilities in the final year of your presidency. What is your response to these allegations, or are these sources wrong?
They are wrong. There's nothing to sustain that, number one. Number two, think of what we're left with. We're left with a circumstance where we had an insurrection. I started. We did not sense a civil war.
Okay, so they're doubling down on the J6 narrative and everything else. But let's talk about Jill Biden for a second. People are now criticizing Jill Biden as possibly being one of the worst wives in, I guess maybe from a public figure standpoint, ever. Knowing now that he's likely had this cancer and also obviously struggled with dementia. But here's the media telling us he was totally fine.
Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden is the best Biden ever.
She knows so long as she was 9.
In fact, I think he's better than he's ever been.
President Biden has a photographic memory. His understanding and mastery of a complicated geopolitical situation, remarkable.
He is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
Jackie, are you here?
All right, I can't take all of it, and we've got a lot to get to. So right before Biden's people announced that he has cancer, this audio of Robert Herr drops, where Biden can barely group words together and form sentences.
So during this time, we were living in Chambers Road, and there were documents related to the Penn Biden Center or the Biden or the cancer moonshot or your book. Where did you keep papers that related to those things that you were actively working on?
Well, I don't know. This is what, 2017, 18 area?
Yes, sir.
Remember, in this time frame, my son is either been deployed or is dying. And so it was, and by the way, there were still a lot of people at the time when I got out of the Senate that were encouraging me to run in this period.
So he can't remember when his son passed away. I think he passed away in 2015. He can't, he's. This is one of the reasons why the special prosecutor said, he doesn't have the mental faculties to actually stand trial for mishandling classified documents. And he was the president of the United States, and then everybody in the media told us, no, he was totally fine. And now they've announced that he has cancer, and they're saying everybody needs to just lay off Biden, leave him alone, because Donald Trump, and apparently Donald Trump and the Justice Department, they are looking into AutoPen. They are looking into who was actually the president of the United States. Okay, Joe Biden was clearly not making decisions and was not the president of the United States, I guess in name only. So who was actually signing all of the, who signed the pardons? Who signed the pardon of Anthony Fauci over the last, since 2014? We're going to pardon this guy for anything he did from 2014 to now. Who actually signed them? Are they legitimate? When I saw Posobiec even saying, hey, look, if he didn't have his faculties, did he really nominate Ketanji Brown Jackson, the Supreme Court justice? Who's, by the way, whose intellectual prowess is dizzying in Supreme Court arguments. And of course, I'm being sarcastic. And then we had this. We all knew. That's the thing. We all knew. O'Keefe exposed people saying that he's essentially.
Well, here's something Joe Biden is dead.
He can't even say a sentence. That was an undercover video from James O'Keefe. That was Henry E. Apple, who is the advisor and intelligence program director at on the National Security Council, openly admitting, well, obviously he thought he was on a date with an attractive lady, but openly admitting that Joe Biden is not there mentally. And he can't even keep his own cancer a secret. Here's Joe Biden in 2022 of July saying that he has cancer.
And because it was a 4-lane highway that was accessible, my mother drove us, and rather than us be able to walk. And guess what? The first frost, you know what was happening? You had to put on your windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer. And why for the longest time, Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation.
That's why I have cancer, he said. And, of course, we were told, oh, no. And I think he did it multiple times. And, you have to give credit where credit is due. Laura Loomer was all over this. She writes, Joe Biden has been diagnosed with prostate cancer. As I reported several months ago, Biden has been terminally ill for a long time. It's just been kept a secret. Terminal means 6 months to a year to live. Of course, there are always outliers. But in July of 2024, I reported on his terminal illness diagnosis. He won't be alive much longer, in my opinion. He and his family are announcing this now to make people feel bad, since there's a book coming out and his mental decline and the cover-up of how sick he's been for the last 4 years. Everything I reported on last year was and still remains true, she says. And then you can see the post where the statement from the personal office of the former President Joe Biden says he has an aggressive form of the disease. The cancer appears to be hormone sensitive, which allows for effective management. The president and his family are reviewing the treatment options. Then we had this, again, Laura Loomer. I reported on Biden's terminal illness almost a year ago. Terminal is 6 months. He could die in the next 2 months. She writes, this is a PR strategy to shame the Democrats who are coming out with a book about the cover-up of Biden's health crisis. Biden might die in the next 2 months. And, of course, you got to also remember there was Laura Loomer, she wrote back on July 5th of last year, Joe Biden was in Las Vegas. She reported, and there were people that mocked her for it, but she reported that that Biden had a health emergency aboard Air Force One. The press was essentially shooed away, and that it was very, very serious. And then, of course, we had the next day, you had Joe Biden appearing at the White House, walking around, and he appeared to be like 6 inches taller. Do you remember this? This was after Loomer posted her video, or I'm sorry, her report about this health emergency in Vegas with Joe Biden. We got a much taller version of Joe Biden, and a much more spry version as well. Just a data point. People did the math. People looked at the height difference. People know how tall Jill Biden is. Really the whole Biden presidency. You remember the photo of Joe Biden that the White House said was real? It was Joe Biden meeting and Jill Biden meeting with Jimmy Carter and his wife, and he looks humongous. It's so distorted. And they put out that photo as if it was real. Incredible. So what was the plan here? The Center for Baptist Leadership, William Wolf, writes, they knew Biden had terminal cancer. He would die in the first year of his second term. Kamala would become the first black female president without winning an election, which, by the way, if I've always said that would be pretty hilarious. If the first lady president doesn't actually win election but gets appointed, it would certainly just that asterisk there. I mean, that would not be breaking the glass ceiling. Let's just put it that way. So Kamala would have become the first black female president without winning an election, but Biden fumbled the debate so bad he had to exit the race right then and there in July. Kamala steps in, historically bad candidate, but Democrats think they can rig it again. They can't. Trump wins, greatest comeback election in American history. Obviously, what happened at Butler and the fight is, I think history will regard that. It was all downhill in terms of it was a lot easier to win hands down after he survived the assassination. Trump's willingness to run again even after everything he went through after leaving office, in God's grace, spared America from the dark fate planned by the puppet masters running the fake Biden presidency. We are on a really good timeline. Let's make the most of it. Matt Walsh weighing in, their plan to engineer the first female president was to push through a cancer-riddled dementia patient, get him reelected by whatever means necessary, let him die, and then have her take over. Orrin McIntyre, they knew Biden had terminal cancer, and they tried to run him for president anyway because he was never president in the first place. Only his dementia could stop them. The Democrats carried out a coup. They can never be allowed to return to power. Yeah, I mean, we remember. We also have to remember that there was a coup among the Democrats, forcing Biden out, putting Kamala in as the candidate, and certainly, I think if you remember the statement that was released on Twitter, Biden's signature. Again, I think this auto pin thing. There's some real issues here that the people that were making decisions on behalf of the president as the president, but not really president, that's criminal. Those people should be investigated. Those people should be charged, and those people should be put on trial. for this stuff. Loomer again writes, cancer cover-up. A doctor on MSDNC this morning said it's more likely than not that Joe Biden has had cancer his entire presidency. Listen.
You're an oncologist, obviously incredibly respected. You believe that it is likely, just for those just tuning in, you believe it is likely if this prostate cancer has spread to the bone that he could have had it for up to a decade, but certainly it's likely. Would it be fair to say it's likely to have had this for at least several years?
Oh, more than several years. You don't get prostate cancer.
I just want to stop you. So this is not speculation. If you have prostate cancer that is spread to the bone, then he's most certainly, you are saying, had it when he was president of the United States.
Oh, yeah. He did not develop it in the last 100, 200 days. He had it while he was president. He probably had it at the start of his presidency.
I mean, this is a lot worse than covering up that FDR was wheelchair bound, don't you think? I mean, you combine this with the dementia, with the fact that he's clearly not there, and who knows how the cancer treatments were also affecting his health, you know, depending on if he did radiation or not, or surgery, or whatever the treatment was. The whole thing. I mean, the mainstream media actively deceives. They covered up his dementia, and now they're going to run some apology tour to say, any investigations, anything out there into the Biden presidency, meaning the puppet masters who were actually pulling the strings, now needs to be diminished. And this all we don't need. He's dying of cancer now. Leave him alone. And all of this is being done in light of this Robert Hur audio being released. And the Robert Hur audio shows that this man doesn't have his faculties. So it's a giant scandal. It's confirming what everything we all knew this was the case. What was it? I don't have the tweet pulled up, but I saw it where now Democrats are upset with Republicans who are piling on this morning, saying that we're advancing a conspiracy theory that there was a media cover-up to hide Joe Biden's dementia. I mean, none of us were convinced. You know what I mean? Like, it's so sad because none of us believed when they told us over and over and over again that he was perfectly fine, right? None of us actually believe that. Where is it? Is this it right here? Yeah.
Where's Jackie? I didn't think she was.
I mean, it's like the
sitting
the worst cover-up in history.
2 feet from him, across the table, and he was, intense.
Have trouble walking sometimes? Yeah, so did FDR. He wanted GD war.
But he's totally focused. He's very sharp.
They say he's sharp in meetings and so on.
Very lucid, very well informed. Biden is stately, and he comes with gravitas. There hasn't been, as far as I know, a single claim that Biden made a mistake.
Ageism is an issue. Americans have a rich history
ageism.
Of holding
That's
people's
right.
physical character.
That's right. It's ageism. I forgot. Folks, I want to tell you about Curable Premium Health and the great CBD products that you can get over at curable.com. Make sure you use promo code Paul20 and save 20%. CBD is incredible at fighting inflammation. Now, my favorite product that they have is, of course, the muscle cream. I talk about it all the time. I go out, I play tennis, get a little sore, and, the muscle cream to me works great. It's got like some essential oils in there as well, so it's really, really nice. So that's like the number one product I recommend. Like if you're going to try anything at curable.com and you don't really know much about CBD and how it can fight inflammation and how you have like a whole cannabinoid system and receptors for this stuff, I say go for the muscle cream. And then if you've never tried like ingesting CBD before, I think the sleep gummies are a good place to start as well. The sleep gummies, we've got 10 milligrams of CBD, plus they're adding now melatonin to it, so you go to sleep and you stay asleep and you feel relaxed. And there's also the tinctures. You have the tinctures here. If you see that on the left side of your screen, I think that's the orange zest flavor. They also have a cinnamon flavor. The tinctures are more potent, and you drop them in your mouth or under your tongue. You let it sit for a little while, and that's a way to get CBD into the rest of your body. And it kind of goes where it needs to go. But the roll-on is great. There's also stuff on here for pets, ladies and gentlemen. You've got stuff on here for pets that kind of keep your older pup who's maybe having some joint problems will be able to get relief from that the natural way. And that's the thing. At Curable, they plant the seed, they harvest it, they monitor the whole process, they extract the CBD from the hemp, and then they send it to third parties that verify the potency, verify they're not using harmful chemicals and pesticides when they grow this stuff. Curable.com, Kuribl.com. Use promo code Paul20 and save 20%. Okay, so real quick, the number one thing that absolutely wins the internet for today, and I agree with Derek Evans, this wins the internet for today, upon the news that Joe Biden has cancer, and by the way, as from a Christian standpoint, I have prayed and continue to pray for Joe Biden's salvation, especially now that he's at the end of his life, that Jesus is mighty to save, and I pray that Joe Biden will be convicted of his sin and repent and turn to faith in Christ. But in light of this news that Joe Biden has cancer, Congressman Sarah McBride writes, "I'm heartbroken to learn of President Biden's diagnosis. President Biden has faced immense challenges throughout his life with resilience and grace, and I know he'll face this battle with the same strength and dignity. My prayers are with him, Dr. Biden, and their entire family." And somebody named Bad Hombre responds to him, responds to him and says, "Let this be a reminder. Routine prostate exams save lives. Make sure to schedule yours, Congressman." Of course, Sarah McBride is a man. This is what she looks like, or this is what he looks like. Say, I'm sorry. I've lost the cultural battle. I misgendered her. But, Sarah McBride is a dude, and he certainly needs to get his prostate checked. What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. Folks, that's all the time that we have for this edition of the Millstone Report. Unless I'm providentially hindered, I'm going to be back here tomorrow wishing you a happy Tuesday. Until then, God bless. I hope you have a great rest of your Monday, and we'll see you soon.
The very foundation of the Christian faith is based